Okay, we're going over the homework on lesson 1 and 2, and what we're talking about is functions, the definition of a function, evaluating functions, and doing compositions of functions. Okay, so we're going to start out with the function f of x is equal to 3x plus 5, and another function g of x is equal to 5x plus 4. Now, number 1 is asking us to do what? Evaluate the function f for x is negative 4. In other words, evaluate the function at x equal negative 4, which means to do what? Plug in a negative 4 for x. So in the f function, we will find the value of the function at x equal negative 4 when we replace the x in the function with that negative 4 and then solve using the order of operations, right? Now, we could actually say here, instead of f of x, we could continue down with f negative 4 is. The function evaluated at negative 4 is. We're going to multiply first and get negative 12 plus 5. Negative 12 plus 5 is negative 7. So the function evaluated at negative 4 is negative 7. If we wanted to write that as an ordered pair, then we would say when x was negative 4, y was negative 7, right? If we wanted to write it as an ordered pair. Any questions on number 1? So we're just learning basic function terminology here. Okay? You don't have to write it as an ordered pair. We just need to know that you could write it as an ordered pair. Number 2, it says find g of f. Now we're evaluating the g function. It says g of 7, excuse me. So that means to do what? Put the 7 in place of the x in the g function. So we want to evaluate the function g of x at x equals 7. And so we're going to find g of 7. So in place of the x, we're going to put the x value they gave us 7 and then solve for the function value at that point. So the function evaluated at x is 7. 7 times 5 is 35 plus 4. The function evaluated at 7 then would be 39, which again we could write as an ordered pair. When x was 7, then y was 39. What would this ordered pair look like in variables, the first one? X and, but we want it in function terminology. This is x comma f of x. And this one is x comma g of x, right? So if we were going to write the ordered pairs in variables, then we've got x and then the function of x. We have x and then the function of g, see? All right, and that's kind of getting used to some function terminology and function script also. Any questions there? So what we're getting into now is adding and subtracting and multiplying functions and then getting the function of a function, okay? And we're going to keep going back to the fact that the f of x is 3x plus 5 and g of x is equal to 5x plus 4. We're going to use that all the way down, okay? So, number 3 wants f of x plus f of g, so what do? You put what f of x is, 3x plus 5, and then here's that plus sign, plus what g of x is, 5x plus 4, and then you simplify the expression. Okay? So we can simplify the expression by combining like terms, and so we get 8x plus 20. So f of x plus g of x is 8x plus 20, 9. That's weird. Thank you. is 8x plus 9. Thank you. Yeah, y'all keep me straight. Any questions on number 3? Okay. Number 4, we want f of x minus. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put the minus sign. So where the f of x was, I'll keep color coding it. Where f of x was, we're going to put it 3x plus 5. And where g of x was, we're going to put what it's equal to, 5x plus 4, but what? Have to put it in parentheses, because what's going to happen to that minus? Good. That minus is understood to be a 1 that's going to be multiplied and get distributed through that parentheses. Now, we could put parentheses here and then drop them right back off, realizing there's nothing to distribute. But we have to put it with the minus so that we don't forget to distribute, okay? So we distribute first, and that takes us to 3x plus 5 minus 5x minus 4 when we distribute the negative 1, and then we combine like terms. So we've got our x's with our x's and our numbers with our numbers. The sign of the 3 is, and the sign of the 5 is, and when you add or subtract with different signs, you subtract and take the larger sign, right? Negative 2x. And then 5 and negative 4 is a positive 1. So negative 2x plus 1 is the difference between f of x and g of x. Okay? Any questions on that? All right. Everybody good? All right. Number 5. Number 5, we want the F function times the G function, so we'll remind ourselves of what those functions are if we forgot, which we did, 3x plus 5, 5x plus 4. So we're going to have the F function, 3x plus 5, and I'm going to put the time sign and then we'll talk about it. The G function, which was 3x plus, what was it, 5x plus 4? 5x plus 4. Now, way back in Algebra 1, I taught you that when a higher operation like that little blue multiplication is happening to a lower operation like the red addition or the red addition, when a higher operation is happening to a lower operation, you have to put those lower operations in parentheses. So we have understood parentheses that have to go on both of those. Now, you could think distributive, but this is a binomial times a binomial, which is fancy distributive from my Algebra 1 class, but after you left my class, everybody taught you what? Right, distribute the 3x through, and then distribute the 5 through, and they called that the FOIL method, right? You distribute the 3x through and then distribute the 5 through. I did it a little different in Algebra 1, but anyway, 3x times 5x is 15 what? X squared. When you multiply with like bases, you add the exponents. And then we've got the 3x times the 4, which is 12x. And now we're going to send the 5 through. 5 times the 5x is 25x. And then we're going to send the 5 to the 4. 5 times 4 is 20. I get to multiply this time. And now we can combine like terms. So we combine like terms here, and we get 15x squared plus 37x plus 20. So the product of the F function and the G function is this quadratic 15x squared plus 37x plus 20. We know that's a graph of a U that's facing up and a lot of other stuff from Algebra 2, which we'll do all that stuff in here before it's all over. Any questions on number 5? Okay, now what is number 6 saying? What's another way to write number 6? F of G of X. F of G of X. Okay? Now, what does it mean for us to do? Let's write those. Let me write these back down here again, just so they're here close by. F of x was equal to what? And g of x was equal to. So on number 6, what is the command? What's it telling me to do? It's saying take this whole g function and put it in place of the x in the f function. In the f function, replace the x with g of x. In the f function, replace the x with g of x. So we're going to take this whole thing right here and stick it in there where the x was. Now, so we're going to have 3, and where that x is, we're going to leave a gap, plus 5. And where that x was, we're going to insert the entire g function. So it says insert the g function where the x was in the f function. You understand that? And then we solve so we can distribute. 3 times 5 is 15x. 3 times 4 is, and then a plus 5. And then we can combine like terms, so 5x plus 17 is the f of g of x. Any questions on that? Any questions so far? Very good. Okay. All right. Now, number 7 says, there's the answer key. Number 7 says, find x if g of x is 26. Now, remember that g of x was 5x plus 4, right? What's this wanting me to do? What's this telling me to do? It's telling me what the g of x is, right? So where am I going to put the negative 26? Where the g of x is, the x is. It didn't tell me what x was. It told me what g of x was. So we replace the g of x with negative 26, and we're going to be looking for that x. So we're going to have negative 26 equal 5x plus 4. Find the value of x when the function value is negative 26. What value of x would produce that function value? Any questions on that? Okay. So we're going to undo addition by subtraction. When you add or subtract with the same sign, you add and take the common sign. Now we're going to undo multiplication by division, and we get x equal negative 6. So negative 6 is the value of x that would produce a function value g of x of negative 26. Okay? Any questions on that? So the test will be this length, that same kind of stuff. You know, all I do is change a few numbers and stuff. It's not any harder, supposedly. Not any easier, supposedly. Any questions on that? All right. Appreciate your attention.